had sort of bitten the dust. It was rocky, very unstable. So I was out looking for a new ironing board, and I liked the fact that this was pretty stable looking, and it had this special slot down here for the actual iron. So one of the things that I want to point out a few of these features. First of all, this does come with a 3-year warranty, so if you have any problems, it's nice to have that extra extended warranty. It has a nice looking pad. It's pretty thick, but not too thick. You flip it around. Well, let me show you. First of all, it's pretty thin through here. It's not going to take up a whole lot of space. It's the sort of thing you might be able to slide between a washer and a dryer, that kind of thing. You're looking at maybe about 3.5 inches. And actually, let me go ahead and give you the rest of the dimensions while we're at it. The rest of the dimensions, because it has that extra iron slot at the bottom, it is a little taller than some. It's about 63 inches to the top, and so be aware of that because it's going to take up a little bit more space height-wise than your average ironing board. And width-wise, whoops, let me see if I can do this without falling over. Width-wise, it's 16 inches here on the ironing board. The feet are actually a tiny bit wider. They're about 18 inches out. So be aware of that. And then the actual ironing spot itself is quite large. You actually have 49 inches long by that 16 inches wide. So you can. This is a good, big, wide space to be able to iron blankets or sheets or whatever, that kind of thing. I avoid ironing at all costs, so I primarily use my ironing for shirts and men's shirts and women's shirts. And I do want to point out, because to me this is a factor, and it might be for you as well, but this head tapers. You typically have a tapered head on an ironing board. This head does not taper as much as the average ironing board head, and that can be a drawback, and I'm going to point that out in just a second. But if you have a man's shirt, typically when you iron it, you will take this sleeve and you will slide it over the edge so that you can actually iron it. Because of the fact that this is pretty wide through here, my husband's shirts, and he's a pretty large guy, you can actually get the sleeve only about to here on the ironing board because it is so wide, the rest of it won't go over the actual ironing board. So be aware of that. That is something that if that's important to you, you might want to look otherwise. The back of it, you will notice this is a good sturdy metal. It's just, it looks like it's not going to bend or break or whatever. This cover is attached by a toggle, so you can tighten it up if you need to, or you can actually even remove it for cleaning purposes. The bottoms, and the top and the bottom of this has an anti-skid plastic pad. It also will protect your floors so you're not going to scratch up your floors, and it provides extra stability. So that's a good feature. There aren't any end caps. My old one had end caps, and we lost the end caps, and then you end up with the problem of it rocking and that sort of thing. There are no end caps to lose on this, so that's a good thing. Right here is your lever, and it's a comfortable plastic-coated lever. You're going to use this both to open it. It has a lock right here in the middle. You're going to use this both to open it and to shut it. And I want to point that out because my old one would shut on its own. You had to use the lever to open it, but it would shut on its own. This one does not. You cannot actually get it into a locked position unless you push this lever again, so be aware of that. Okay, now coming over here, I do want to mention that you probably want to lower it a little bit closer to the floor because it actually comes out really quickly. Okay. Now, they say it has 4 positions. I actually found it to be quite a few more. It's sort of almost an infinite position sort of thing. But right here, you have, this is the height, well actually it's a tiny bit lower than normal. The highest position is right around 36 inches tall. And you can actually lower it a good bit from there. I'll show you this in just a second. If you want to lower it, I'm 5'7". This is a pretty good height for me. But if you want to lower it, you push down on the lever. You can lower it a little bit, you can lower it a little bit more. You can get it to whatever position you want. This is actually a very good, comfortable position to be seated. You can actually watch TV and iron at the same time. Isn't that nice for those of us who don't like to iron? You can even lower it a little lower. You can lower it all the way down so you can actually sit on the floor and iron, which is nice. I'm going to show you, I have a non-standard iron. This one actually has an extra height on the base because the cord's in here, so it's probably an extra 3 inches taller than normal. So it doesn't work quite as well with my iron. With a more standard iron, it would work quite nicely. But if you'll zoom in on over this is a nice metal structure. This is part of why I like this. It has this sturdy metal structure, and it has these rubber non-slip grips on there. And you can place your iron right here, and it'll keep it nice and sturdy right there. It's not going to fall down. So when you're quit ironing, you can put it here, and if you turn it around, if you're right-handed, it actually, for me, would work better to have it on the other side. But you can sled your iron down for a minute. You could put it down like this. Obviously, if you have water in there, it's probably not the world's smartest idea. But and for somebody who does not have this extra 3 inches right here, this will make a very nice, snug, compact place to put your iron. Even for me, it still works just fine. One of the other things I want to point out, I often iron 2 or 3 shirts at a time because I hate ironing, so I will put it off until I have 2 or 3 to do. And so if you're ironing one of them, I'm going to raise this up for a minute. If you're ironing one of them and you have just finished it and then you want to iron the second one, you want to keep it as wrinkle-free as possible. You can actually place the hangers over the edge here, which is sort of nice. I would comment to the manufacturers that it would be nice if this were a tiny bit narrower, because as you see, these hangers, these are standard wire hangers. They don't actually fit completely over the edge. It would be nice if this were a tad bit narrower, but it does work still. You can actually hang things just fine. And I wanted to point out to you again earlier, let me just show you this very briefly, but as far as ironing the sleeves go, what I was talking about earlier, see, the sleeve fits to about here. You have the rest of this hanging off the edge, and this is a man's sleeve, a large man's sleeve. If you had a woman's sleeve, you wouldn't even get that far with it. So you're going to have to iron it just like a standard ironing, you know, with both the back and the front and that sort of thing. You're going to actually have to lay it down on the board like this. But it does provide a nice wide surface to be able to do this. And the last thing I wanted to point out about this, it is nice and sturdy. You'll see this, it's not rocking. We're good. And they actually advertise that this is good for up to 40 kilograms. Well, 40 kilograms ends up being about 88 pounds. So, son, come here for a second. My son, we just measured, is 62 and 63 pounds or thereabouts. Lay down, if you will. And it supports his weight fine. It's not collapsing underneath him. So I just wanted to point out that this is a sturdy ironing board. This is not any problems. And if you run out of bedding, there you go. You have an extra bed. So this ironing board I think will suit most everybody's purposes, and I think it'll work great for us.